Hashi Buddha. Peace and love and happiness to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are traveling forward in time to the year 2026, where I'm sure you groovy cats must have colonies on the moon, robot maids. Well, I'm pretty sure you guys will never have a president as worse as Richard Nixon or Jimmy Carter. You can never convince me there'll be a president worse than Jimmy Carter. Nope, nothing you can say right now will ever make me believe that. But I can just imagine you in this groovy time. But I'm hearing this interesting rumor about you. Everyone's telling me you wrote this groovy book. It's far out there. Can you tell me a little bit about this book?
Well, the idea is based on the fact that a starstone hits the Earth, or a meteor, and it breaks a magical seal for the world that disappeared during the Dark Ages when there was magic, elves, dwarfs, and other such creatures. And once it does, it totally wipes out technology because the return of the arcane drains all electrical power over the world, and there's no way of bringing it back. But it starts opening doors in order to get to this world. So I step forward in about 100 to 150 years, where this enemy that's been kind of cooped up in this seal is going to try to destroy the world, and a group of teenagers are gathered together to go stop them.
A group of teenagers, that almost makes me think of Power Rangers almost. But can I ask, what inspired you to write this book and all?
Well, I've been role-playing since around 79, and I took a literal advanced class in high school, and I wrote this short story off of one of my games. And the teacher said, "You ought to become a writer." So I've been working on the storyline for a while, but I couldn't find a role-playing system that would fit what I really wanted to do. So I developed a role-playing system. I wrote the book based on some of the rules and things that are inside the role-playing game, and wrote it off of that.
And could you describe some of the characters in the book, like, without giving too many spoilers?
Well, Thuria and Keel are siblings. They're the ones who start the story. Both of them come from tribes that live in North America because society's down. I mean, there's nothing left. Matter of fact, they call our society the ancients. And there's like these creatures, orcs, they believe are going to attack them. Apparently, one of the people from the land beyond the magical seal, which is called Kalos, had contacted them and let them know that there was a time coming when the people of the plains would be needed, and predicted the birth of Fury and Keel, who would be the ones who would do it. Then, along the way, when they're traveling, because they have to go to the Isles of Mist, which, if you look in Legends, the Isles of Mist are of course, Ireland, Scotland, and England, because all the rain and fog that they get there. They end up going to a place that's just outside of New York to pick up Starborn, which is an orphan kid who helps them sail across the world to get to the Isles of Mist. They get thrown off course, and that's when they run into Luna and Ivan. Luna is, well, she's just a little martial artist, Chinese girl, don't stand in her way. And Ivan is this person, an orphan from Russia, of all places. And he's a healer.
A healer, the thing about Russia is Winston Churchill described it. It's a mystery behind an enigma, hiding behind a mirage. It's an illusion. Throughout history, Russia's never been Western civilization or Eastern civilization, and that has always been Russia's case. How is Russia this Russian girl? Because I've always said Russia's basically miscellaneous to the whole world. How is she in this book?
Ivan is not a girl for one
Oh,
thing.
I
It's a
gotcha.
dude. Yeah. Well, take a look at the religions that are in Russia right now. You're looking at mainly Orthodox Christian. They don't have very many tribal traditions that we know that much about because, well, their tribal people don't really talk to anybody. So what I did was give them the Orthodox healing ability, which is how he fits in.
Brilliant. Now, I understand you also have quite a groovy story in your whole life. I understand you were part of the U.S. military.
Yes,
And what exactly
but
did that ever inspire anything you wrote in your book? Because a lot of the characters in the books are based on their own experience, and this is why I say children can't write good stories, is they have never really experienced life. But for someone who's experienced working in the military, you probably got a lot of inspired. Did that inspire you to write any characters or not really?
not really. Most of it's from gaming. Uh, I've been into the first novel I ever read was The Hobbit. I read that during the blizzard of '78, and then I immediately started role playing after that because we moved to Texas. And if you want to talk an inspiration, it's been J.R.R. Tolkien all the way. I mean,
Yeah.
Terry Goodkind, he's one of the better ones. But really, the story writing is just based on the fantasy work. And I mean, even when I was in college taking English classes, I wrote stories then, and I was getting like A's on all my little short stories I was writing.
Yeah,
I've had plenty of teachers tell me I need to quit college and just become a writer.
I can believe that because you're well spoken. George Tolkien, he wrote that book in World War I, and Dr. Seuss, he wrote his stuff in World War II. And can I ask, are any of these characters inspired by any family members, a daughter, a cousin, a mother, or did you just make them up on the spot?
Let's just go with a few. A few. Not really. I just kind of made them up as I went along. I'm an impulsive writer. It's like asking why a drawer draws mountains or draws houses. It's just something I do naturally. When people game with me, they say I got the best games going because I just got this natural ability just to create storylines. Now I do struggle with making names every now and then. So, but if you read through the novel, you'll find out I made up a lot of names. Some of them names that I've used though are characters that I've actually had in role playing games.
Oh,
So they come from that situation.
enlighten me. What game, like, could you give me one character you made up on the spot that you put in that book?
All five of the main characters are made up on the spot.
Wow, that's
They
very
are unique and
creative.
individual.
And they say sometimes an author,
Yeah.
either intentionally or unintentionally, writes himself into the book. Was there any character you would say is you that you wrote down in there?
Actually, I wrote a story about something that happened to me as a child. It's in the book. Um, Shevai tells one of the five children about one of their ancestors and how he met this ancestor by turning himself into a wolf. The Phoenix had allowed him to turn himself into a wolf. And I led this wolf when I was a kid onto my back porch, a lone wolf on my back porch as a kid when I lived on my farm in Pennsylvania. That is the only character who I am in the game. I am the ancestor of Feria and Keel.
Brilliant. And it's interesting because I forget what that show is called, Game of Thrones. Some of those fictitious names are now becoming actual names in real life. So you never know. You make up a name on the spot. One day it's a real name, because I've always said this: fictitious culture inspires real culture. And if you were to see your book made into a movie, what actors would you like to see play the characters in your book?
Let's see. Keanu Reeves would be a nice one.
And who would he play?
Foxheart.
Brilliant.
Keanu Reeves plays a lot of action fight scenes, and Foxheart is just all fighters. Uh, to be honest, as far as female actors go, I can't think of one that could play a role that I got going. Yeah, I mean the children. You're just going to have to bring up new actors because they're all young. I mean, this story is written for 14 years or older. So,
And let's talk
yeah,
about you.
the
Who's your
Keanu
favorite?
Reeves. My favorite book,
Yeah.
my favorite storyline, my favorite story, believe it or not, and when I read it, it just blew my mind. The Wheel of Time, the original first book. His descriptions of towns and how he handled the story were great. I got to the second book and I couldn't get past the third chapter. But that first book, that one blew me away. I couldn't follow the rest of the storyline because it was starting to get dry. But that first one, that's one of the best stories I've ever read.
Brilliant. Now, if you were to make a choice, if a studio approached you, would you like to see the book made into a live action or a cartoon? How would you see it like when you picture it in your mind?
Cartoon.
A
A
cartoon.
serious cartoon like The Last Airbender.
I'm a huge fan of that. Little funny story. I watched a movie years ago, loved it, and my friend said, if you loved the movie, you never saw the cartoon. So I had to rewatch the cartoon to realize the movie sucked. But now I'm watching the live action show.
Oh, I love the cartoon. It just really wonderful storyline. I mean, you also have to understand that I've been influenced by a TV show back in the 80s called Star Blazers. And I don't even know if you can even watch that anymore about how the Earth is being destroyed by an alien race and how they turn a battleship into a spaceship and try to travel the universe to get to a planet to where they can save the Earth. Really good storyline.
And the bad
Matter
guy
of
had
fact,
that weird voice to him.
yeah, you saw it?
I was big into anime and I actually took classes and I saw the first episode of it. I know what you're talking about because when I was in school, I saw one episode of that. So I just remember the bad guy and his voice, but that would have been years ago when I watched that.
Oh, I love it when they show up to the other alien planet to get the thing to save the Earth and find out that there's only one of them left. And she has the entire design to save the Earth. And she said, I developed it too late. I wasn't able to save my own planet. I was like, wow, that was a cool piece to add into a storyline. It really was.
Well, the thing with the 80s cartoons is they had this real vibe to them that the modern day stuff doesn't have. But now I also want to quickly say with your book, there's this rule, it's called Price's Law, which says only 2% of books sell. And I always say this, it's not about reading all the books, it's about reading all the good ones. And I really want to get your book into the 2%, which is Price's Law. So I'd like to ask everyone down below, please share out the link and pick up a copy of his book. Now, is this the first book or was there one
Yeah.
before and will there be another one?
Okay, I'm gonna go through the list. The idea was to reintroduce the idea of storytelling because we've gotten away from that. I mean, take a look at Dragon Ball. Wonderful cartoon. Then you go to Dragon Ball Z. You might as well be watching a video game. Storyline has been booted completely. I'm just trying to. The whole role playing game is based on the ideal that it's based on storyline, creating stories. So the next two books were going to be both of the books in the role playing game. Then I was going to do the module because there's parts in the story that these characters, you know, the very thing that can take out Otar himself, somebody gives to them. Well, I got a mission for the game where they actually have to get that item. So you can play the storyline of what lined up to make it possible for the characters to have the things that they needed. And then I was going to go into a storyline based on. I have a core group of people called the Phoenix Guard who guard life over the entire planet. You know, they don't. Life is a cycle, life, death, you know, all that. You know,
Yeah.
but this group of people work for the Phoenix because it's the only god of the world. And when something's out of sync, they show up. They don't answer to no laws or nothing. You have to read the novel to find out about them. So I was going to start a story. It began with 5 of them. And I was going to write a story how they all met and started working some of the history stuff that is introduced in the novel.
Groovy. Now this is getting trippy.
But
Like
that's all.
so this is
Yeah,
a book we can actually role play as well.
right. You become part of the storyline.
That is far, and not many books can do that.
No, they tried games like Harry Potter and stuff like that. But I mean, video game, are you really part of the storyline? Come on. These video games are storylines just ugh. I play a video game and the first thing I complain about is the storyline. Every time.
Yes. You know, they say video games went downhill after PlayStation 3 came out. And it's like there were more attention to the graphics and the art of the games. In the 60s, everyone looks at lava lamps. In the 2000s, everyone's looking at their phones. But I always say something that's more interesting than looking at your phone all day. In the 90s, looking at the TV all day. In the 60s, in the early 2000s, it was your computer all day. But people need to get back to reading books again and getting their imaginations going again.
Plus, it would help, going out and touch the grass. People just need to take a break. I mean, maybe if we cleared our minds a bit, maybe we start thinking straighter and this world would be a little bit better. There's nothing wrong with taking a break and just reading a story that takes you away for a minute.
It does. It really does. I'm encouraging everyone to pick up a copy of his book today and let the magic take you away. Because the thing about his book is it's 100% original. It's not one of those books you have to force yourself to read. It's a very addictive story. Now, George, could you tell everyone where they could pick up a copy of your book?
I sell on Amazon. I'm an independent writer. I don't go through a publishing company. And if
Really?
anybody contacts me for a link, I'm more than happy to give it to them.
Brilliant. Now, is there any questions in the comments? Let's see. I got a
Hey,
copy. Brilliant.
Hey, Samara. Have you started reading it yet, Samara? Hi, Wheels.
Yeah, it looks like quite a big thing here. And the name of the book is The Days of Stars of the Phoenix Chronicles. And I'm going to tell you, you will not regret getting a copy of this book. And if you don't like to read, there's actually an app where you can just take a picture and it will read the book out. Again, it's The Days of Stars, the Phoenix Chronicles by George Davenport.
Yeah, because you can get it on Kindle, and if you're part of Kindle Prime or Alternate, whatever they call that now, you can get a copy for free. And understand, it's not really about how many sales I get. I just want to share a storyline. As a matter of fact, I'd like more people start creating more storylines, original storylines, because we can't let that art die. That's just one art we can't
Someone
let
else's
die.
idea isn't cool.
Yeah, that's true.
so many things, so many people taking other people's stories and just retelling them. Like you said about Dragon Ball, it was basically Superman all over again, followed by Terminator told all over again.
Yes, Wheels, it's $10 if you don't have Kindle Prime. You can read it right on your phone if you don't want to get away from your phone.
And when did you write this book? Don't mind me asking.
I actually did the original story and published it through American Publishing, which I got a real shabby deal on about 6 years ago. And then I decided to rewrite it because back then it was 2 books. I made it into 1 book and did a self-publish a year and a half ago.
Brilliant. And how did your family like the book when they heard about it?
My family loves it. Like I said, my grandson is like a co-designer on a role-playing game.
Wow.
He's developing his own part of the world. I mean, you're talking about the world we are using is the very world that we live on, Earth.
Yeah.
Something that's familiar, but changed.
Isn't that the truth? And that's about
Yeah,
history.
he's doing Australia and Antarctica. And that leaves plenty of areas open if somebody wants to do it. That leaves plenty of areas open like Russia, China, if they want to develop their own stories in those areas. We don't care if you base it off of our work. But once we say we got to land here at the designing company, our designing company, you can't touch what we do.
Yes.
It means that the storylines have to stay what they are.
100% agree. And you know, I just quickly want to say you are the rock star of authors. And the thing I respect about you is I always say there's a difference between giving a nod or bringing up someone else's work, but you somehow are completely original and your story feels like it's something that could actually happen. And it's just truly spectacular.
Yeah, well, it's fantasy. But like I said, I'm just trying to open up a lot of people to start doing some more storytelling. I'm hoping to have most writers write a book once every 2 years. Well, you can't produce a role-playing game unless you write 2 books. So I'm averaging about 1 book a year right now. Because the players is done. All we got to do is finish up the storyteller's guide. And that's going to be all about them deciding what they want to do, how they want to do it. Dungeons and Dragons or most games that use creatures, already have pre-designed creatures. We're going to teach people how to design their own creatures, to create their own individual storylines.
So it's basically you book the starting story, but they have a way to play through and around it. Like this is something I've never even thought of doing something like this.
Like I said, we want to bring storytelling back. That's their main objective.
Brilliant. Now, is there anything else you would like to talk about?
Well, having a pretty good day. I mean, future projects, you've already talked about that. World needs to chill out and just find a good story and chill out and relax.
All right, brilliant. Well, everyone out there, pick up a copy of The Days of Stars by George T. Davenport and let the magic take you away. Until next time, thank you for being marvelous magic and have a wonderful day.
And thank you, Rio, for having me on. I appreciate that very much.
Peace out, brother.
You have a wonderful day, too. Peace out, brother.